Hello, I'm going to show you how to create your own custom canvas stretchers and how to stretch and prepare a canvas. This is aimed for you to be able to do this at home. I have not done some of these things before, so you see me make a few mistakes, and I'll learn from them, hopefully. The finished product comes out great, so don't worry. You will need some tools and supplies. The initial investment will pay for itself over time if you paint a lot, and will save you money in the long run. Also, you can make custom shapes and sizes that you cannot buy in stores or online. Okay, so let's get to it. This is what you will need. You will need some good heavy-duty scissors, also a tape measure. Get some 8-foot 2x1s, at least 2. You will also need a 2x1/2, like a thinner piece of wood. Get a staple gun with staples included if possible. They're about $10 online. Some screws are always helpful. Nice long ones, 2 inches long. A little squeezed bottle of wood glue. A 16-ounce acrylic gesso and a wide paintbrush. Get a carpenter's triangle. This is very useful, and you're going to need to use it a lot. You will need some canvas. I got 3 yards by 2 yards. You can get stuff like the gesso and canvas at places like Blix or online on Amazon, or whatever company you prefer. Always gotta have a Sharpie. I got a Dremel-like tool. While useful, this was a mistake. What you need is this. It's a router with a guide. Just look up electric hand trimmer on Amazon. They're about $40. Very useful tool that you'll use a lot. I will keep the Dremel tool for other projects, however. So here's the back of a store-bought canvas. You can see 4 pieces of wood cut at 45-degree angles to fit together. They are then stapled in place. We're going to do the exact same thing with our 8-foot 1x2s. Now it is time to measure. Grab the tape measure and an 8-foot 1x2. I'm going to mark 4 feet in length. This will be one side of our canvas. I will then measure out another 4 foot on the same board. Use the triangle to get perfect 45-degree marks on both sides. You must flip it on the opposite side so that both sides angle in. Do the same for the next measurement on the same board. Be as exact as possible. I am marking the outside of the frame, which is the longest side. Now I'm using my straight edge to mark off a small portion of the board, about a 1/4 inch along the outer edge. This is important as we will cut away the rest of the board slightly lower so the canvas does not touch it. It is a raised lip, a raised edge. Here is a good look at my marks. Step back and make sure you have it right. Let's continue measurements on the other side of the canvas. Get a new 1x2, and we will measure out 2 sections of 2.5 feet. We will do it just like the last board. This will give us a canvas that is 3 foot by 2.5 feet when done. This Dremel tool with a sanding attachment seemed like a good idea. It was not. I'm going to make a mistake here that I realized later. It is easier to use the router now, while the board is whole, to plane away the wood to create the raised lip. I'm going to cut now, but keep that in mind when you do your own project. Anyways, here are my 4 cut pieces with 2 mirror pieces for each side. Looking good. See how they will fit together and how the outer edge guidelines match for that raised lip we need? Now here's what we needed all along. I made a small specialized table out of wood scraps for cutting and making stretcher bars. That will be in another video. And here's the router, cheap but totally fine for our purposes. Take a second to familiarize yourself with the machine and attach the wood routing bit. This came with one and an adjustable guard. You want to cut away about a 1/4 inch depth of wood. I tried clamps, but wasn't a very good idea. The clamps get in the way and the power of the tool makes it hard to control the cutting, if you do it freehand. Also, this tool is quite loud and makes a lot of sawdust. You may want good ventilation and a face mask. Safety glasses are recommended for flying bits. Protect your eyes. Okay, let's attach the guide. It is a long bar with an adjustable flat edge clamp so you can cut in a long straight line. It is perfect for our task. Now what I have noticed is the assembly tends to slip and you have to keep readjusting. I found out you can take some putty. I am using Scotch removable mounting putty, and you can wrap it around the smooth metal and reassemble the tool and it will no longer slip. This can always be removed with zero effort. Mounting putty is a great multi-purpose product I would recommend to any artist. It works. Now we need to find our lengths on the guide for making our cuts. The tool only cuts about 1/8 of an inch away in one pass, and then we need to readjust for the next pass. Make a mark with a Sharpie. Once these marks are here, you will never have to measure again. Keep moving in a little after every cut and making a new mark each time. We will do this until we meet the pre-drawn guidelines for our lip. As you can see, the clamps get in the way, and I realize just bracing the wood on my table with my hand is fine. Just be safe. After all the guide marks are made on the router guide bar, you just start at the longest setting and work your way down to the lip mark. Took me some trial and error. Just knock off stubborn little flakes with your hands. You can see now why it would be easier to do this to the boards before cutting them. Live and learn. Now sand the work a little so there are no sharp edges. There will be ridges, but they will not be visible or affect the canvas. Get a little scrap of wood and wrap a piece of coarse grit sandpaper around it. Just go up and down the freshly cut area a few times. Notice how I used the convenient 2x1 board holder that I incorporated on my mini workbench. I had to retouch my cuts so they fit, all in a perfect rectangle. Use your triangle for perfect angles. Now arrange on the floor. Looks good. Arrange so the raised lip goes around the whole outer edge. Then flip it so you are looking at the smooth back. You'll need the wood glue and a stapler now. Put wood glue in between the joints. It will help the strength. I forgot here and didn't do it until later. A mistake. Check that you are square with the carpenter triangle and put in 2 or 3 staples in each corner. Gotta sweep up all the sawdust. For this size canvas, I will need a cross support. Do not use the 1x2. You will need the thinner board that I talked about earlier. Anything 1/4 inch thinner will work. Find the middle and measure. It's a perfect fit. Wood glue and staple level to the back of the frame so it will not touch the canvas. Now grab the canvas and see how much you need. Put the frame on top in position so you can fold over about 1 inch to the back side all around. Use another 1x2 to help measure the width on the uncut sides. Try not to produce too much canvas scrap as you want to conserve this for future projects. Make marks with a Sharpie and remove the frame so you can cut. Be careful with the frame. It may seem kind of flimsy and bendy, but the canvas, when stretched, will hold it all together when this is done. Cut with the heavy-duty scissors. If you keep tension on the canvas, cutting will be easy and quick. Take your time. I use my body weight and knees. Looks great. Position the canvas in the center with the raised lips we cut off facing down towards the canvas and grab your staple gun. We will now pull tightly and staple the canvas onto the back, working from the center on each side out to meet at the corners. You'll need to switch sides every time for a uniform pull, and the wrinkles will disappear as you go. Don't over pull and break your frame. Just use a good solid pressure each time, and don't space your stapling too wide. You will use a lot of staples. When you get to the corners, just give them a yank and fold them over like a letter or wrapping a present, and staple them down neatly. There it is, nice and smooth and wrinkle free. You'll notice it seems looser than you would want for painting. It's not as tight as a drum. That's okay. Our next step will fix this. It's time to gesso. Gesso is what you prime canvas with. When it dries, it will create a uniform white surface and will tighten the canvas up. There are many types of methods. I'm using a 16-ounce Utrecht Studio Series acrylic gesso. This is enough for 2 canvases of this size about. It was about $15 for this. You can buy buckets of this stuff for your needs. Keep in mind quantity is good for making your own canvases, as this is how you will save money if you make a lot. This is a fantastic gesso for basic painting needs. Put down a drop cloth to protect your floor as you do this, as it's a drippy process. Use your large brush to paint on a nice solid coat. Take time to smooth it out, as this will be your painting surface by using alternating directions with your strokes. I could not find my large brush and used a smaller one, so it took a while. An argument for being organized and keeping your workspace clean. Make sure you have an even and totally covered area all the way to the edges. Now let it dry. I suggest overnight just because, but it really only takes a couple hours. Excellent. Nice and uniform white. The canvas is tightened up now and is rigid, tight as a drum and ready to paint on. I left my mistakes so you can learn from them and see what not to do. Feel free to ask questions and I'll paint on this one and make another one soon. Thank you.